here is the tutu that I'm going to show you guys how to make today. It is double layer with pink satin and glitter ribbon trim. So if you would like to see how I make this, just keep watching. Hi guys! So in today's video, I'm going to show you step by step how I make my tutus. Just a little side note, this is how I make them. So everybody makes them differently. This is how I've done it. This is what works best for me. I've tried many different ways that I've learned on YouTube from other people, but this is what works best for me. So my husband actually makes all the bows for my tutus, which he's already done for this one. So it's going to be a silver glitter bow. So for this particular tutu, it's going to be a Frozen Winter Wonderland type theme with no characters, not the movie Frozen, just more of a Winter Wonderland theme. And the lady specifically requested baby pink and silver. So the tulle will be baby pink. The number that's going to be appliqued on the shirt is going to be number 1 with HTB. That's a baby pink glitter HTB. And I'm going to do a 2-layer ribbon tutu. So the bottom layer will be baby pink and the top layer will be silver glitter. Same type of glitter as the bow, just different size. So this is 1.5 inch ribbon for the bow. And since it is a 12-month tutu, I don't like to do large ribbon on a baby tutu, on a smaller tutu, because I feel like it takes up too much space. So these are 7/8 inch, both of them. Okay, so for this 12-month tutu, I'm going to do 11 yards of tulle. So when I first learned how to do these, the first chart I received from someone when I learned was to do 12 yards. And I know a lot of people do 10 yards for 12 months. So I tried both ways, and then I met in the middle for what I thought was best. Because when you do double layer ribbon, it adds to the fullness. So you don't really need more tulle. So if you're going to do if I was to do 1 layer of ribbon and it was a really light color tulle, light tulle tends to be thinner for some reason. So if it's a thinner tulle, I would increase the yardage to 12 yards maybe. The darker colors are typically thicker, so you wouldn't have to do that. You could scale down. But for this particular one, I'm going to go with 11 yards and 2 layers of ribbon, 7/8 inch. So here are the supplies you're going to need for your tutu. Because I'm only doing 1 color tulle, I'm only going to have 1 thing of tulle. It's a light pink, like a baby pink. You're going to need a hot glue gun. You're going to need either a cutting mat or a measuring tape. Non-roll elastic. This is 3/4 inch non-roll elastic. 2 large safety pins, fabric scissors, any corresponding thread. So in this case, we're going to use white for the elastic when we sew the waistband shut. We're going to use pink when we're sewing the pink ribbon and the waist channel in the tulle. And we're going to use a silver color because that's going to be a color of the other ribbon. You're going to need a lighter to heat seal the ribbon, and of course whatever ribbon you choose. As you can see, I've already gotten glitter all over my cutting mat from this glitter ribbon. It's a silver glitter, 7/8 of an inch, and this baby pink ribbon, same measurement, 7/8 of an inch. So my table is actually 5 feet, so it makes it really easy for me to cut tulle this way. So 11 yards would be 33 feet of tulle, but I'll probably end up stopping around 32 feet probably, just to make it easier. We'll see. But basically what I do is I just go back and forth, and I always divide it up into at least 2 pieces. It just makes it easier for sewing than having one whole long piece. So what I'll probably end up doing is 16 feet and 16 feet and just cut it a little bit shorter than the full 11 yards. Okay, so I had the first piece cut and it was about 16, a little over 16 feet. So then what I do is I let it fall on the other side of the table. Kind of make sure it's spread out evenly. A lot of times when you get the tool, it's not folded or cut evenly. Which I'm sure a lot of you have learned that by now. It can come very, very messed up. Thank goodness so far this one seems to be pretty even. So what I end up doing, just to make it easier to deal with, is I fold it over, probably about 3 or 4 inches, and then hold it tight on both sides to keep it as even as possible while I roll it up. And I just keep rolling it towards me, trying to keep it even and as straight and even as possible. Okay, so I rolled up the whole piece. So what I have now is one long piece. You probably can't hear this on the camera, but it has so much static. You can literally hear it as you move it. So anytime I have a lot of static on the tool, I spray it with this static guard. If I don't, trying to sew it later becomes very difficult. It's just flying all over the place. Okay, so even though I held it as tight as I could while I was rolling it, it's never going to be 100% even on the sides. So what I do is I go back and I cut off the ends where I can see that it's not completely even and make a straight line. So the good thing about baby tutus is the smaller it is, you typically can use just one piece by cutting it in half and you'll have plenty. Because I'm doing a double layer ribbon tutu, I'm going to cut it a little bit shorter. So typically I would need a 12-inch piece. That way when you fold it in half, you have a 6-inch tutu. But because I'm doing a double layer and I stagger the fold, one fold will be an inch kind of higher than the other, which I'll show you. I can actually cut it a little bit shorter, because then if I do it like that, it'll make the tutu longer, and we don't want to make it even longer. So I'm actually going to cut this one at 11 inches, which I can use my mat. You can use scissors or you can use a rotary cutter. The rotary is actually easier. And because this is a smaller tutu, that one piece of 16, cutting that one of 16 feet, cutting that in half gives me all the tool I need. So 16 feet times 2, I have plenty. It's one foot shorter than what I really needed, but at the end of the day, it's fine. That'll work. So once I have my pieces, I open them back up. Just let it fall on the side of the table. And here's where I'm going to fold it in half. This is where it differs depending on how many layers of ribbon I'm doing. Because I'm doing 2 layers, I kind of want them to overlap each other rather than being sewn on top of each other. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this in half, but not evenly. I'm going to leave 1 inch off the bottom. So I'll show you how I do that. So it might be kind of hard to tell because I have a pink cutting mat and pink tool, but when I take this to fold it in half, I don't want to make it completely even. I want to leave a little bit of space between one layer and the next. So here's one layer and here's the other one. So there's about 1 inch, and you can use your cutting mat to determine how much space you want to leave, and this is where I will pin it. And then I just go across the whole tool, folding it that way to where I have about 1 inch difference in the ribbons. and folding it just like that. Okay, now I finished that piece. I'm gonna do the same thing to the second piece. Just fold it over and pin it. Okay, so I'm all done pinning, folding and pinning. That should have taken you no more than 10 minutes tops. Like I said, it's even easier and faster the darker the tool, because the darker the tool, the thicker the material, and the easier it is to work with. So the lighter the tool, like this one, which is super light, it'll take you probably up to 10 minutes, just if you want to make sure you're doing it evenly and correctly. So that's going to be on the shirt. I already have my machine threaded with this baby pink to match the tool. Put my ribbon aside. A lot of people have asked me what I put my sewing machine at, and it's at all zeros, and the length, I don't know if you can see the lighting. It's 2.5, there we go, I don't know if you can tell. So I keep it really tight and short, and it sews with no problem at all. Okay guys, now that I'm at the machine, I'm gonna go ahead and grab my tool that's already folded. And on the side where my pins are, it's closed, right? Because we folded it over. So on the closed part of the tool, that's what I'm gonna sew my waist channel in. And I'm gonna give myself 1 inch because the elastic is actually 3/4 inches. So we wanna make sure when it's time to slide the elastic in that it goes in with no issue. So you'll be able to see the 1 inch on your sewing machine. And as you go, you will just remove your clips. And this will just depend on your sewing skills. Some people can go faster than others. If you're just starting off, you probably want to go slower. I actually have this set at the fastest setting because I'm just used to it and I can sew a straight line easy now. When I first started, sewing a tutu took me forever. But so now you'll just sew both pieces, the waist channel into both pieces. And don't forget to backstitch and secure your waistline. So now we have one whole piece that has the waistline already sewed in it, and it's folded, but as you can see, one side is slightly longer than the other. It should be off about 1 inch or less than 1 inch, whatever you decide, just slightly off, not exactly folded in half. For your first tutu for beginners, I would recommend folding it completely in half and doing 1 layer of ribbon just to test it out and get used to it. But now what we're going to do is we're going to get the other piece and do the exact same thing. Okay guys, so I have finished sewing in the waist channel on both pieces of the tool. So now the first thing I'm going to do is work on putting on the bottom layer of the ribbon. This is a brand new one. So the first thing I do, of course, is I heat the ends, heat seal the ends to prevent it from fraying. All you have to do is it really fast. You don't have to do anything long, especially with these light satin ribbons. You want to make sure you don't leave the lighter there too long, because you can actually leave burn marks on there. You can actually burn it, which I've done before. So what I do is I put this reel on the hook I have on the bottom of my desk, which I've shown in other videos, and that allows the ribbon to just flow easily as I'm sewing. It's a continuous flow of ribbon without having ribbon all over the floor. Before my husband put the hooks on here, my ribbon used to be all over the floor and it used to get tangled and it was just a mess. So I'm actually not going to change any settings on my sewing machine. I'm going to leave it exactly the same. It's set at 0 and the stitch length is 2.5. That works beautifully with the tulle and the satin ribbon. So I don't ever have to change any settings on the sewing machine. So you put the pretty side down first. If it's if it's double faced, super easy for you. You don't have to worry about it. But if you have single faced ribbon, make sure you put the pretty side down the machine. And I'm going to grab my first piece of tulle. And you're going to have a total of 4 pieces of tulle because you folded the tulle in half and sewed it. But remember, one layer is going to be shorter than the other because we didn't fold it exactly in half evenly. So you'll have 2 pieces in each layer. So you want to take the longer layer and kind of open up your tulle and take your longer layer and put it on top of the wrong side of your ribbon. So that when you're done sewing and you fold it back over, your pretty side is facing front. Does that make sense? And I know this is in another one of my videos as well. So yeah, you just take your longer side, so we're sewing the bottom layer ribbon to, put it on top of your ribbon, and just sew the entire length of your tulle with the bottom layer ribbon. And of course, as always, don't forget to backstitch. And just so I mentioned, I think I mentioned it, but if not, it took me 7 minutes to sew in the waist channel on both pieces, just 7 minutes. If you're doing one layer of ribbon, you're folding it exactly in half. This next step of adding the ribbon is going to be super fast and super easy. But since we're doing 2 layers, this next step is going to be just double the time. So make sure you put that in your pricing. You don't want to price your 2-layer ribbons the same as your 1 layer because it does take you more time. So I'll check back in with you guys in just a second and see how many minutes it took me to put in the entire bottom layer of ribbon. Okay guys, so I now have the pink ribbon on sewed onto both pieces of my tulle. Now I'm going to add the second layer, which is the silver ribbon. So it's going to be such a pretty combination, I think. My customer picked a great combination. So I'm going to just take this reel, add it to my hook, just like I always do. Bring it up, and this is I'm going to put the pretty side, the glitter side down. And here's your tulle that already has the pink ribbon. So here's the top layer that I told you about, which we folded over a little bit shorter than the bottom layer. So here's where you want to be very careful and make sure you do this right, or you can sew this completely wrong. So you want to open your tulle back up, but make sure the pretty side of this pink ribbon is facing up. And you're folding the top layer backwards onto the wrong side of the ribbon. That way, once you sew it all in, once you go down and sew it all in, and you're done and you flip it over like this, you'll have pretty side on top of pretty side. So open it up, sew this layer on top of the silver ribbon. So now we've finished one entire piece of both layers. So I kind of want to show you what that's going to look like. So now when you fold it over, bottom layer is pink, top layer is glitter silver. So now that that one's completely done, I'm just going to put that aside onto my sewing craft table over there and finish this last piece. That actually took me 5 minutes. I'm not sure why this time it took me longer, but okay. So now I'm going to do the same thing again. Pretty side of the glitter down. Same process. Just take your piece that you sewed the pink onto. Open it up. Open it up with the pretty satin pink side facing you, the right side of that one facing you. And put your tool on top of the wrong side of the ribbon. Same thing, just keep sewing. Okay guys, so I've now finished sewing both layers of ribbon on. So this is what it's going to look like. Your bottom layer is going to be pink and your top layer is silver. So this is what you look like. This is what it looks like, and you have two long pieces. So this is a size 12 months. So I'm going to cut the non-roll elastic. It's 3/4 inches non-roll elastic. I'm going to cut this 17 inches long because a 12-month-old's waist size is 19, but because we're using elastic, you want to take off 2 inches. So cut it to 17 inches, and then I have two large safety pins, quite large. I actually got these at Joann's, but I'm sure you could get them anywhere. And I place them on each end, not directly at the end, maybe a 1/2 inch to 1 inch off the end of both sides. And there's a lot of ways you can do this. So I know a lot of people get a little tool you can buy online that helps you drive the elastic through the waistline. However, it's simple enough to just do it this way, and so this is kind of the way I've just been doing it. I can see how it may help though to use a tool for the adult tutus, because that's what makes my arm hurt. I mean, that's a lot of tool. So what you want to do is just make sure you open up the channel evenly. So I open up and stick my finger through it to make sure I'm going through both layers of the channel before I put my safety clip in there. Grab one end of the elastic with the clip. Carefully put that, make sure it's in both layers. And then you can just start moving it across and driving it through. Because this is only 3/4 inch elastic and you sewed in a whole inch waistline, it should go in flawlessly, like super easily. So just drive it carefully without pulling on the elastic, because that could actually stretch out the elastic and you don't want to make it too big. So now you have half of it on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to carefully slide it all the way over to make room for the other piece. And now we just need to sew the waistline shut. So you're going to take this to your sewing machine, remove the safety pins, fold them over each other, both sides of the elastic over each other, and you're going to want to do a zigzag stitch back and forth at least 3 times on your sewing machine. Alrighty, so I sewed the waistline shut, and now I'm just trying to evenly distribute the tulle around the skirt, and then I'm going to grab a needle to sew on the bow that my husband made. So I just get a colored silver, which matches the bow that I'm putting on the tutu. And I don't sew through the entire bow, I just sew through the back layer of the bow. And then drive that through the tutu. I go back and forth about 3 times. Careful to not puncture the front of the bow. And then before I drag it all the way through, the little hoop that's left, I take the needle and drive it through, which creates a knot and closes that off really well. And then just cut off the extra, and there you have it. And then I gotta do the other side. So there you go. Now your bow is sewed on perfectly. And the last step is going to be to hot glue the 2 pieces together so that you can't see the separation in the tutu. So just for transparency, guys, this hot glue goes on the ribbon, ribbon to ribbon. The hot glue does not come in contact with the baby's skin. I did have somebody message me saying shame on me for putting hot glue that can touch a baby's skin, some weird message. The hot glue does not come in contact with the baby's skin. You're hot gluing ribbon to ribbon. So, just to be clear. So you take the 2 ends and you want to kind of put them, hot glue them to where they're like this. So where it's still, it kind of just all flows together and you can't see the difference. You just take your hot glue, put it lightly and distribute it onto the ribbon. Fold the other ribbon over and attach it like this. Just like that. Okay, so there should be one other spot that it's like that. You find that spot and I'll do the same thing. And fold it over. And there we go. So there you have it. It's all connected. So there is your tutu. I love the double layer and it's gonna look super cute with the shirt. So I'm gonna pair those together so you guys can see the complete outfit. All right, everybody, so that's how we make our tutus. Everybody does them differently. So I know you've probably seen them done in many different ways. I've seen people use many different yardages and different techniques. Over the last year, I have seen many videos and tried many different ways, and this is what works best for me. I'm all about time is money, so I had to find a way where I can do this quick, efficient, but yeah, with good quality and have them come out good. And with all my trial and error, this is the best way I've come up with that works for me. So try it and do what works for you, but I hope this helps you in some way. If you guys have any questions, just put them down below. Please don't forget to like and subscribe if you're not subscribed. And until the next video, I'll see you later. Bye.